Welcome to Friday Morning Dharma on July 31st, last day of the month. How about that? Why don't we celebrate the last day of the month with some meditation? Yeah. Let's go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture. Please give yourself permission to settle into a place of stillness. As always, you're welcome to take as your role model for a good, grounded meditation posture is the mountain. The mountain is balanced, grounded, and stable, silently observing. And as a preliminary to our meditation this morning, we can silently recite our three-word mantra. On the inhalation, silently say the word rest. At the top of the inhalation, silently recite the word relax. And on the exhalation, silently recite the word allow, as in allow the world and everything in it to be as it is. Rest, relax, allow, and repeat this sequence for a moment or two. We can now gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Please be the silent observer of sensations that may start in your hands and your feet in the form of a tingling, perhaps a lightness, perhaps a heaviness, perhaps a pulsation. No analysis is necessary. There's nothing to figure out. Just be the silent observer of these sensations and allow a more tranquil, awakened state of awareness to emerge. This morning's meditation on the stages of the path is on the advantages of cherishing others. A remarkably beautiful paradox in spiritual practice, a remarkably beautiful paradox in living life is that the way for our happiness, the way forward in securing our own happiness, is to concern ourselves less with our own happiness and more with the happiness of others. So for this meditation practice, I'd like you to please bring to mind a loved one of yours, not a child who you adore if you're a parent, nor a loved one from whom you are strongly estranged, another loved one in your life. Please take a moment to bring this person to mind. And I'd like you now to imagine that this person is seated in the space in front of you, facing you with their eyes at the level of your eyes. And for the remainder of our meditation, I'd like you to please just rest. Please just rest with a loving wish for the loved one in the space in front of you to be happy. Rest with this wish while continuing your meditation on the inner body. Contentment, fearlessness, inner and outer peace, inner and outer freedom. I wish for these sorts of happiness, this sort of peace for the person seated in the space in front of me. Please rest with this wish while continuing to observe sensations within your inner body. Now, please gently redirect your awareness. Become aware again of your physical body and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of your physical body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you're occupying. Deeper and deeper breaths, becoming aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you're occupying. We dedicate all of the merit, all of the positive energy from this morning's meditation to world peace. May the beings who were the objects of our meditation this morning indeed enjoy a state of complete, perfect fearlessness. May they enjoy inner and outer peace. May they enjoy inner and outer freedom. Completely fill up your belly, your belly and lungs with air. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Cute, cute. So we're going to take a little detour in this morning's class, a little bit of a detour from our discussion of the Lam Rim meditations. Um, and my camera keeps going in and out. I have a confession to make. The new camera has arrived, but I haven't activated it yet. It only arrived on Wednesday in self-defense. So let me just one more time. Built in. We'll see what happens. Sorry, you Zoomers. Um, and Jill suggested that I wait until after vacation to activate the camera. I think I'll do it this weekend before I go. I need to, this is a long time in coming anyways. I want to take a break from our discussion of the Lam Rim meditations and detour, although everything kind of is a Lam Rim meditation. Everything is one of the stages of the path. Um, I was having coffee with a friend at Tranquil Buzz. For those of you who aren't local, it's a local coffee house, and um, kind of there were some folks sitting around and talking about their upset, this fear of the state of the world that we're living in right now. Yeah. Um, environmentally, politically, governmentally, economically, militarily, there these are difficult times and indeed scary times. And over the last few weeks, I've had people come up to me, non-meditators saying, you know, I need something to help me cope, really. Like I need a lifeline. And I'm so glad that they thought to reach out to somebody, me or anyone, whoever it might be. Yeah. Seek out for a lifeline, hopefully a wisdom lifeline. Yeah. Um, and I thought, why not make that the subject of our class, this class, and then Monday's class as well? Like what I have found to be over the years some like go-to practices, like bedrock practices that we can rely on when things get difficult, you know. And some of us may regard these as being unprecedentedly difficult times and circumstances. So one of these, I'm going to share two with you this morning and then a third one on Monday. Um, but one of these tools relates to the people in this class who have been coming to this class and are, regulars or drop-ins, it doesn't matter. And this is really, really powerful, maybe the most powerful, and that is the fact to remember that you are on a path. You are on a path that can and will lead us to liberation from suffering. Yeah. I was going back through some texts that my teacher wrote, and there are all sorts of different ways of viewing the path. There's the Lam Rim path that we've been studying and practicing. There is something in Mahayana Buddhism called the path of accumulation, the path of seeing. There's even one called the path of no more learning. And what those mean right now don't really matter. But what I would invite you to do is to acknowledge to yourself that you are on a path that is leading somewhere. Sometimes the practicing of that path is going well, sometimes it doesn't. When like some of these crazy weather forecasts, not forecasts, but weather reports, I mean, yeah, I won't go into the gory details, but it's really disturbing. It can be disturbing. Just knowing that you are on a path and you are practicing that path and hopefully are committed to it can bring relief. Yeah. I I think about people who don't have paths, just how difficult slash impossible that might be. And that's kind of a different teaching for a different time, a teaching on compassion or practice of compassion. But for right now, please allow me to invite you to take refuge in the fact that you are on a path and you're practicing that path. Yeah. Um, so on to number two, technique, tool, method number two. Um, Over the course of my Dharma life, I have come across two books that have saved my life, saved my Dharma life, and therefore my life. Yeah, because I can't imagine living my life without Dharma. My teacher, by the way, for the record, my teacher has written lots of books, and that sort of got me onto the path and deepened me into the path. It's like the foundation of the path for me. But from time to time, those of us who have been on a path long enough know that there are like little things that come in from the outside, seemingly from nowhere, and just like enable a little bit of a shift that like opens the way forward. Like whereas before it was just like, and I'm an Aries, right? We hit our heads, it's what we do. Um, but there have been like during my head hitting, trying to break through, taking the path of most resistance. Um, Little things have come in from the outside that just like cause a little bit of a shift such that going forward is possible. And I bet some of you can guess what one of those texts that saved my Dharma life was, the Ganges Mahamudra. I talk about it all the time. I'm not going to talk about it here. Just know that I sent the email with a link to a meditation that includes the entire Ganges Mahamudra. Anyways, the other book that saved my Dharma life, and it's herein lies a tool for us to utilize should we choose to do so, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You know, I'll never I'll never forget the first time I heard about Eckhart Tolle in this text. It was with a friend. I've been practicing, been on a Dharma path, living at a Dharma center, been on the path for, I don't know, 10 years or so. And somebody said, a fellow Sangha friend said she was listening to the audiobook of The Power of Now, and she said, this stuff is amazing. You should listen to this. And I had actually heard of Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now, but he was like on Oprah, and like these sort of like mainstream outlets that I was too good for. It was like my arrogance at the time was, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah. No, I'm way beyond that. Little did I know. I'm much more advanced than that. But, as often happens, I was humbled by some event. I don't even remember what it was and realized, oh, Oprah is a kind teacher for me. Eckhart Tolle is fine, could be a teacher for me. And I opened up The Power of Now, changed my life, totally changed my life. And I think I would imagine that most people on this call and in this room know that the essence of Eckhart Tolle's teaching in The Power of Now is there is freedom to be had by being present in this moment, being present in the now. It's not a new teaching. The Zen people have been saying this for years, as you know, Will. But Eckhart Tolle presents it in a little bit of a different way, at least a different way that I have found. And for most people that are familiar with this teaching of being in the now, in this moment, present with what is in this moment, like there's a group of people who like aren't aware of it at all, right? Another group of people who live it, who live in the moment, every moment, not concerning themselves with the past, with the future, but being in the now. They live it. These might be some of the most peaceful people you've ever encountered. And then there are a bigger group of us, I think, that sort of know that this can be a path to permanent, deep, unsurpassable peace. We just haven't been able to bring ourselves to apply it, to take true refuge in it, to try to live it. How many of us know that there is peace to be had in the now? Yet we do things around the house, brush our teeth, get our belongings together so we can get out the door. It's like almost like going sleepwalking, just like in a daze, kind of going through half present, brushing our teeth, finding our keys, getting our belongings together, getting out the door, making sure the door is locked, because we're moving, because we're concerned about the next thing rather than what's happening right now. So I've got a couple of excerpts I want to read. I'm going to run over a couple of minutes. Little warning here. You Zoomers, if you have to log off, or in-person people, if you have to leave, please do so. And no problem. Just go back and listen to the recording of the part that you miss. So, Eckhart Tolle writes in The Power of Now, he says, when you realized those moments of presence, presence, the presence that comes from being in the now, presence in the present moment. When you experience those moments of presence, you likely didn't realize that you were briefly in a state of no mind. Okay, what Eckhart Tolle calls mind, we call non-conceptual mind, or we call it the thinking mind, right? What he calls it mind, we call it thinking mind, as opposed to non-conceptual awareness. Okay, when you experience those moments of presence, you likely didn't realize that you were briefly in a state of no mind. This is because the gap between that state and the influx of thought was too narrow. Your mindfulness may only have lasted for a few seconds before the thinking mind came in, but it was there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have experienced the beauty. The thinking mind can neither recognize nor create beauty. Only for a few seconds while you were completely present in the now, like you might be in this moment when there's silence. Only for a few seconds while you were completely present was that beauty or that sacredness there. Because of the narrowness of that gap and a lack of vigilance and alertness on your part, you were probably unable to see the fundamental difference between the perception, the thoughtlessness of awareness, awareness being the absence of thought. You were probably unable to see the fundamental difference between the perception, the thoughtlessness, the thoughtless awareness of beauty, and the naming and interpreting of it as thought. The time gap was so small, it seemed to be a single process. The truth is, however, that the moment thought came in, all you had was a memory of it. The wider the time gap between perception and thought, the more depth there is to you as a human being, which is to say, the more conscious you are, and the more at peace we will be, and the more freedom we will experience. Just a couple of more short excerpts also from Eckhart Tolle. This is a book called Stillness Speaks. Stillness Speaks. To have your attention in the now is not a denial of what is needed in your life. It's recognizing what is primary. Then you can deal with what is secondary with great ease. It's not saying, I'm not dealing with things anymore because there is only the now. No, find what is primary first and make the now into your friend, not your enemy. Acknowledge it, honor it. When the now is the foundation and the primary focus of your life, then your life unfolds with ease. Last short excerpt. Do you treat this moment as if it were an obstacle to be overcome? Don't answer that. Do you treat this moment as if it were an obstacle to be overcome? Brushing my teeth so I can get out the door? Do you feel that you have a future moment to get to that is more important than this moment? Almost everyone lives like this most of the time. Since the future never arrives except as the present moment, it is a dysfunctional way to live. It generates a constant undercurrent of unease, tension, and disconnect. It does not honor life, which is now and never not now. So, for those of you who have been aware of this practice and haven't been able to really commit ourselves to it and are in a difficult place with the state of the world or things that are happening in the world right now, this is a practice that can work. if we apply ourselves to it. The good news is, the last thing I'm going to say before we break, the good news is that you already have techniques for getting into the now, observing sensations in your body. You're present when you are focusing on an object of meditation. Silence. The thinking mind ceases and you are in the now. Stillness. Like this moment. The stillness of this moment. You are in presence. You are in awareness. You are living your life the way it is meant to be lived. You're experiencing freedom and peace. This is available to you, to us, all the time, no matter what the world events are, no matter what the weather is, no matter what's happening even with ice in the state of Maine. It's not that we don't care, it's that we apply ourselves to things that will make a difference. And thinking and processing the bone, the dog chewing on the bone for the sake of chewing on the bone, which is the analogy of our thinking mind, doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't bring peace. Being in the now will bring peace, spacious clarity, that which we long for. Okay, thank you for staying over, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
Jeff.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye-bye.